I mean, if I did that and like smush this together, I can't do it and talk in the microphone. There would be dimples. Like if
Oh, yeah.
I there's just dimples from sitting. But
Yeah.
if I like sat and then holstered my thighs in place, I mean, it would look like you would just want to spread warm butter over those dimply ass biscuits.
Oh my God.
What? Oh.
I saw
Welcome back, everybody. As soon as it said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we can't see your video. I was initially very confused, but apparently all is working well. How are you, Kayla?
Good, how are you? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to my turkeys.
What episode are we on?
We're on episode 10.
I just felt like I needed to emphasize that.
I know. 10 little turkeys all in a row. I
can't take you seriously.
I also named it the studio that we're making this in. I named it 10 with an X because I wanted to make it something spicy.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I feel like you have a question for this week, but I just have to point out for the listeners, you may not get a huge kick out of this, but I just have to acknowledge your beautiful, wonderful new tattoo, Kailey. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, can you show the people?
Yeah, let me see if I can not make too much noise. Sorry to the listeners, because all you're going to hear is heavy breathing.
It just looks so good.
So here we go.
So it's up on your shoulder, and it's like wrapping around and coming down like, what, halfway down your forearm?
Yeah, it comes like it's not like a solid quarter of a sleeve, but it's there. And then it kind of loops around my back. I left some space on my shoulder blade in case I want to add on. And then there's a little bird. And then I talked about this last week, but my mom and I got a shared element of our family necklace. And that is back there. And I think that's everything. Oh, well, here. So my mother-in-law gave me something blue for my wedding bouquet. And it was like a little bluebird that I kind of put in my bouquet and walked down the aisle with. And then my something borrowed was from my mom, which was from this necklace, which it's hard to see from the spit distance, but it's 2 diamonds that she had set in a pendant. They were the diamonds from her parents' wedding and engagement rings. And when they passed away, she had them put into a necklace. Then she wore at her weddings and I wore at mine, which I had her explain in the tattoo shop while she was getting her tattoo. And that has been posted online. So if anyone wants to go digging around for it, it's an entertaining video. But yeah, so I got mine this last weekend.
Exciting. Sorry, I want to derail us, but I just felt like I needed to shout you out because it looks so good.
So excited about it. Shout out to Gulf Coast Tattoos and Jazz because she did an amazing job. And she let me sit and do the whole thing in one setting so I didn't have to come back later, which I'm very thankful for because I just wanted to plow through. All right, but moving right along, we are on episode 10. Thank you to everyone for hanging in for 10 whole episodes. And I don't know.
We're doing it. We're in double digits.
I know, it's true. We're preteens. Thank you for logging in, for editing what will be soon 10 episodes. It's so fun.
And thank you for always repping our mug and our merch. Non-sexual soulmates mug.
I'm loving this thing. I get excited when I come home.
It's a taller size than normal. Like, you know how some mugs come, like, they're a little shorter? Like, you could put your whole 4 fingers in the handle part if you really wanted to. I don't know, I just like it.
You can almost fit a full fist. No, it's delightful. I do like a big mug. And again, This week's tea is brought to you by Lemon Zinger because I haven't gotten anything else from the grocery store. It was quite nearly brought to you by a Paloma.
Oof.
But again, I told myself I needed to reel it in. Okay, getting back on track. Everyone, as you know, we like to start off with a question or a confession of when we maybe behaved like a Karen or weren't proud of our behavior, or a time that we cried that we felt like was not appropriate or perhaps a bit of an overreaction. We've really branched out into some start off topics. We've already introduced some parents of the pod. We've been sharing some of their content as they allow us on our social media page. It's been very entertaining. So thank you guys again for hanging in there. But as per my usual, I do have a question. I have multiple questions, and I think you have a confession.
I have a slight confession, yes. It's nothing terribly crazy, but I have a confession for the week, yes.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. Okay, so as you all know, if this is your first episode, I will tell you that I'm pregnant. I am in my third trimester, pregnant, feeling it, but loving it. And I am basically doing a continuous glucose monitoring for 2 weeks. So I got a little sensor on my arm, and I'm trying to make sure I'm good. I'm good with all my levels. So I've been trying to eat like my normal self, but also just having a little bit more of a awareness. And so I mentioned this to you off camera, Kailey, but in passing, I don't think you realized how far I went, because yesterday my husband said, do you want to stop and get a donut? Because I've been talking about donuts for a long time because they just sound so good. Anyway, so I told you that I had a donut, but I actually had 3 donuts and a kolache. And I really should not have. I will tell you, I ate protein before I ate the donuts, and I spread them out within like 2 sessions of the day. Really not my proudest moment, especially when I'm doing this blood sugar monitoring. But I will say all my numbers stayed within where they were supposed to be, even after all that. So that was my splurge, and I will not do that again. But I had, 3 donuts and a kolache because my baby was hungry.
Okay, first of all, can you explain to me and also to anyone listening that doesn't live in Texas what a kolache is? Because I've seen it written at Buc-ee's, which has invaded Florida, but I don't have an understanding of what that means.
I didn't either until I moved to Texas. Honestly, it's really stupid. It's basically, when I first moved from Wisconsin to Texas, and someone said, "Ooh, look, we got kolaches," I'm like, "You mean you have a hot dog in a fried doughy bun?" Like, it looks like a hot dog in a bun. The bun is fully enveloping the hot dog, but it's supposed to be sausage, and they'll add like jalapenos or cheese. It's really not that exciting.
So it's not sweet.
No, it's more.
It's like a fancy corn dog. Is it Polish?
I think, I don't want to say for sure, but that sounds like it could be right.
Because I feel like I'd heard of this in Wisconsin, which is obviously like the land of the Polish people.
Yeah, but I never had one up there.
I know. Why is that a thing in Texas all of a sudden?
I don't know, but it's a huge thing. They're good, but they're not like knock your socks off good. It's just literally sausage in a bun. It's like a breakfast hot dog, kind of. I'm speaking poorly. Everyone who loves kolaches is probably thinking I'm crazy by describing it this way. Sorry.
I think my friend brought one into work one time from this like Happy Donut place, and the outside of it was a little bit more like a donut, but it was a hot dog on the inside, so I did enjoy the sweet and savory combo.
Yeah, I think you can get them like that. It's kind of like the taste of like almost like a Hawaiian bun, where it's not super super sweet, but it's like just a tiny bit of sweetness, and it's like softer, and like I said, it's like encases the whole sausage. It's just, I don't know. I eat them obviously, so it's They taste good. Good enough for me.
I love a Hawaiian roll.
So yeah,
Tell me
that's
what
my.
were the other what were the other three donuts?
Uh,
Where are they from? What kind are they?
I don't actually remember the donut place because it was like kind of a hole in the wall place, but they were. It was the Bavarian cream with chocolate on top, and then I think I just had two glazed, just normal glazed, like normal donuts. Because I
Wait,
just
is Bavarian cream the puffy one?
no, not like an Eau Claire. Is that what you're talking about?
I like the custard, like the
Custard.
pudding.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. I think they're called
Okay.
Bavarian donuts, but it's the custard. It's not the whipped cream. It's not
Yeah,
like
no,
the
not the like
frosting.
frosting.
Mm-mm. It's the custardy, slight yellowy look. Oh, oh, that tastes so good. That's my favorite
Oh,
donut of all time. And then second to that is like just your standard donut, like what you would get at Krispy Kreme. Um, yeah, that's what I got.
I didn't know we had the same kind of favorite donut. Also unpopular opinion, I don't care for Krispy Kreme. I don't like them.
Kaylee, this is like me not sneezing with my mask on in the last episode. I am shocked.
I don't like them, man. They're too
Oh,
sweet.
oh, I feel you that they're so rich. Like you could, but they're so airy. Like, have you ever gone into a Krispy Kreme and gotten a fresh hot one?
Yes, it's like the only
Ah,
time that it's appropriate to eat one, but it's too much. And I like a chocolate donut better, and I like the cake. I don't know. I don't like glaze. That's what it is. I don't like glaze. And all of theirs are glazed. Even their chocolate ones start off as a glazed based donut, and I don't want it.
wow. I can't back you up on that, but I will support your right to have that opinion.
That's fine. I'll take you to a Krispy Kreme. I don't want one. I don't
Yes,
like them.
I think that's my
I
favorite.
ugh, I like Dunkin' better if I have to
Ooh,
pick a chain.
wow. Okay. Hey,
There's
honestly, I would eat literally any donut from any place. I'll eat the grocery store donuts. I'll eat whatever. I also like the cake ones, like the denser, like chocolatey cakey ones. Um, that is so funny. Well, hey, learn something new.
I know, not here for it. There's a local donut place called I can see it in my brain, Parlor Donuts. I think they're a franchise. They're in different areas, but they make like a layered donut, so it's almost more of a consistency of a croissant.
Interesting.
Oof, woof. They're good. They're
Hmm.
huge though. I got them one time at my old job and brought them in, but they were so gigantic. Theirs are delightful. But
That
no,
sounds really
I'm
good.
not here
You're
for
making me want
crispy.
another one.
All right. Um well, I'm proud of you for your pancreas knowing how to handle 3 donuts worth of sugar.
I know.
So
I
I
was
mean,
surprised.
I don't think you could have gestational diabetes if your body knew what to do with that.
I know, right? So it's probably maybe a good sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you should take it as a win. I'm also so curious about your glucose monitor. I don't.
When I am doing it for 2 weeks, so maybe in a couple episodes from now, I can give you a recap of what I've learned over the next week and a half that I have. So
Yeah, I just want to know if there's anything that surprised you or anything that you thought would be different or anything that you expected. I still can't imagine like self installing it.
we should we should talk about this in a future episode because I do have a video I could share because I was nervous to put it on. I've got a whole story, so we can touch base. We can do a recap once I'm done, and I'll share the story of me putting it on.
Yes, let's do that. But my dual questions for the week. My first starts off with just a general observation that I've made consistently over the last 4 days. Over the weekend, essentially, I noticed 3 times, thrice occasions of women wearing lingerie as outerwear.
In really like out and about, like during the
Just
day.
in the world. And I want to just take a general poll. It feels there were a few instances that I was like, that's cute and I can see it, and then there were a few instances that weren't. I don't have a hard and fast opinion on this. It's a general wondering. It's a question, as we've discussed.
I
Let
feel
me.
it's I wish I could pull something off like that, but I don't think I would want to. But I think those who can pull it off, I say go for it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it depends on the place, the time, and your like accessories. Like if you're just going straight for the gusto, you know what I'm saying? I would personally feel uncomfortable if I was doing it. But if you like dress it down, throw on a jacket, or do something like, I don't know, to like even it out, and if you feel confident in it, then shit, go for it, I guess. But I would feel so like, because I
I know.
just
I
know.
think that's more my question is like, what would you like? What would Kayla do? Because I've I can imagine. Well, okay, so one of the scenarios I saw was someone like wearing a corset top, basically like
Mhm.
a corset underneath a longer sleeve shirt, which I've thought of wanting to do in the past, like with
Yeah,
a flouncy like button up or under like a blazer.
yeah.
But mine, I don't know. I got nervy and then I didn't. Um, I feel like if I bought it just to wear as an outerwear outfit, it would feel
Mhm.
different than if it
Mhm.
had transitioned from an in the house to an out of the house. Even if
Mhm.
it were the same exact item, I feel like mentally that would be a little weird for me.
That's a good point. Like have a distinction. I've seen like when I was young and cool and we would go out, just like a couple years ago. I would see girls like wearing like a corset. They wouldn't even have a top or a long sleeve shirt over it. It would just be the corset and like high waisted jeans. That was a cool look for me. Again, I don't know if I would wear that just because like I would wear like a onesie tank kind of thing, but I don't think I'd wear like a true. I wouldn't do that. But other girls, I think that looks nice. I just have never done or will never do that.
I've seen that before too, and that's a cute look. To me, what makes it weird is when the garter straps are dangling in front of your jeans.
Sorry, my face. Yeah, no, that's a little shocking.
Do you know what I
Over.
mean? Like, I don't know that a corset is necessarily lingerie. It can be,
Oh,
but I don't think it has to be.
you're talking about a corset that isn't fully tucked into the pants. There's the continuous straps are over the jeans and hanging down.
Yeah, like it's clearly
Uh,
someone's bedroom wear on the town as a top.
I mean, again, if there's some distinction, then you know what I'm saying. Like if that's like
I
the
know,
look
I
you
know.
want to go
I was
for.
sitting there thinking about it and I was like, I just can't stop thinking about this. Moving along, the next one that I saw was what I assumed to be a bodysuit, but the person had pants on. But this made me uncomfortable because it was like a sheer bodysuit, and then
Mhm.
it was like velour, like leaves were
Okay.
just covering where you
Oh.
would like need
Uh
to
huh.
put pasties.
Uh huh.
And I just, I don't know. It was a
Again,
weird feel for me.
I don't mind that for other people. What I mind is the time that we went out and there was a woman wearing something like what you described, but there was no leaves and I could just see straight nipple. I was surprised she was like able to like get into a club like that.
I
I don't.
simultaneously feel proud and confused. That's truly
I
what
know.
this is. I'm out loud processing because I don't know what to do with this information. All of the outfits that I saw, except for this final one, were cute.
Uh-huh.
So it's like no judgment. But I just was like, my husband's looking at someone else's underwear right now.
I feel where you're coming from. I personally wouldn't because I'm not comfortable with that, and I know my husband wouldn't be comfortable with that, and that's completely fine, and I respect that. I also respect other girls who do it in a sensible way, I guess. Like if you're just, if but that's the thing. If your tits are out and you're okay with that and you're confident, then I'm like, shit, I guess free the nipple. Like I
I
don't know,
know, I know.
you, but
I
But
think also it's just like your whole outfit has to flow.
yeah.
It's not the individual things. I don't know. It was very interesting. It was just weird that I saw like back to back to back over the weekend. I was like, is this just a thing we all do now? Or like, is
Especially,
this new? I've seen it before, but
yeah.
maybe it's like arriving to Pensacola. I'm
I
not
was gonna
sure.
say, especially in your town, I feel like it's not as prevalent. Like where we are, we're in a bigger city. Like there's much more like diversity with clothing and just style and just like cool, hip, crazy type of trends. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not uncommon to see it here. But it's interesting that you've seen it so much where you are. It doesn't
And
seem like
I'm gonna sound real bitchy with this next one, but I don't care. I don't even know if this was lingerie. This may have just purely been a fashion choice. Okay. When we were talking about setting also coming into play,
uh huh.
like when you're at like a little speakeasy bar or like it's a nighttime thing, I totally
Mm-hmm.
get doing some of that stuff too. It just fits the mood better.
Mm-hmm.
We are 5 p.m. at a brewery, broad daylight, Sunday. This woman was wearing a like tank top, just like a cottonish tank top, and then um like short blue jean shorts. And then coming out from underneath her shorts were these like thigh straps.
I can't even picture that.
I don't even know what it is. Here, I'll try to show you. I'm wearing shorts. So, like, if you can imagine, it was like two bands around her thighs that were connected by a strap, obviously, like between
Oh,
each band and then going up the thigh,
uh huh.
like up into where her shorts were. And then there were like brass O rings for the connection points.
Interesting.
What is that?
I think it's like I think it's like a modern garter thing that she just chose to wear under her blue jeans to show it off.
I have no idea. She was there with a guy. A good for them, I guess. It looked like, nerd alert on my part, it looked like you would hook holsters for your blasters into them. And by blasters, for those listening, I'm referring to
Pew
the
pew.
pew pews, yeah, on Star Wars. That's what it looked like. It looked like she took her blasters off and set them on the table, and these were and that would be cool, but I didn't. There were no blasters, and also
Oh, maybe it's a fashionable holster of some kind.
the only thing it was holstering was her thighs, and she was a thin girl. And this is what else is wild to me: who the manufacturer of that clothing accessory is an asshole because they were leather. And
Oh,
leather, they were like pleather. So they weren't even real leather where there's like a little bit of give, no give, which means when they fit you snug standing, which I assume is how they're supposed to like fit, when you sit down, it looks like you cracked a can of biscuits. And I mean, again, it's like not the fault of her anatomy, it's the fault of the design of these things. Like,
uh-huh.
build some elastic in around the connection points so
Yes.
the poor girl's thighs don't have to be like suffocating as she sits because most people aren't going to just stand all the day long.
No, and no matter how skinny or not have body fat on you, those weren't that wasn't a real sentence. Even if you have not a lot of body fat, you're when you sit down from standing and it's already skin tight, something's gonna have to go into the holes
Yeah, and
a
it's your
little bit.
biscuits. And she was way thinner than me. This is, again, not a critique of her thighs. It's a critique on the manufacturer. I mean, if I did that and like smush this together, I can't do it and talk in the microphone. There would be dimples. Like if
Oh yeah,
I there's just dimples from sitting. But
yeah.
if I like sat and then holstered my thighs in place, I mean, it would look like you would just want to spread warm butter over those dimply ass biscuits.
Oh my god, the visual in my head right now. That's so interesting. That's the one where I'm like, maybe rethink your decision before leaving the house.
In the broad daylight, not in costume. She was not uncomfortable, so I mean, good for her. I'm not taking like a moral standing on this whole issue. I just thought it was very interesting, and I have a general feeling of questions about it.
I wish we knew who the manufacturer was or who made this so I can look it up and
Yeah, I wish I even knew what like the name of it was.
maybe they're like little metal rings to hook onto for later in the night. I don't know.
I don't know, but it was broad daylight on a Sunday, and I thought that it like she was dressed up as Han Solo. Now my question is just what was that?
That is
Not
a better
I'm not
question.
asking what you're doing, but just what is it?
Help us understand the new line of lingerie that's out there.
I can't imagine it being fun in any scenario. Whatever. Anyway, if I see it again, I'll try to like I don't maybe I'll still try to Google it and send it to you so we can ask someone somewhere if they know what I'm talking about. But
God, I love it.
anyway, okay, moving along. My next question is, do you ever have moments where your sleeves don't feel right?
Oh, all the time.
And
All the
then what
time.
do you do?
I take, I don't know, like if I have a layer, I think we've talked about this, but I don't like eating with sleeves on unless it's a sweatshirt.
Wait, you don't
Yeah.
either?
Oh no, like if I'm wearing a jacket, even if I'm freezing in a restaurant, I will take my jacket off to eat because I don't like feeling restricted with my arms.
Yeah, there's too much
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Even right now, like this is, well, because I just went for a walk, so I'm a little sticky from my own sweat. And it's like kind of getting to me just because like I'm feeling like, I just need a, I know sleeves bother me. And especially if they're too tight, I have a lot of thoughts actually about this. I'll let you give me yours, but I've
No,
got
please
something else.
keep going.
Okay, the other thing is I feel like the way my shoulders and my traps, yes, are in my biceps. All these little cute places like Fashion Nova and all these like quick fashion stores have these cute ass work blouses. I have tried so many and they fit perfectly everywhere else, and then it goes it's like a suction tube up my starting above my elbow, and then I have no range of motion, and that literally drives me up the wall. Like I think I've only worn the shirts like a couple times, and then they're so cute, but I literally can't move, and I'll just throw them away or give them away. When I feel restricted, I have major issues.
That's what it is. It's the restriction. I
Yeah.
if I have too many layers on, I hate it and I need to like be able to roll them up when I'm eating or take off my jacket. And then if I can't raise my arms above like a 90-degree angle because of the lack of motion in my shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
I get pissed because then I can't put my hair up with ease. And
Yep.
then I hate what you're talking about. Like you can't bring your arms out in front of you,
Yes.
or yes, the tightness in the shoulders. The other thing I hate, because I have a dress that's really cute from Lulu's, but it's like they made it for somebody whose arms are wings.
Yeah.
The inseam on my armpit is insane, and so it's like too wide, broad across the chest where the seams are, where the seam, instead of
Mm-hmm.
falling on my armpit, it's falling on like the outer part of my shoulder. So then I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have to walk around with this like hyper arch in my back to stop it from sitting weird, and it makes me so mad. I can't get it to sit where it's supposed to go, and I never wear that dress for more than like 2 hours when we go out.
It's so sad. The sleeves really like make it or break it for me. I also have an issue with like if it's colder outside and I have layers, like if I have a long sleeve shirt and then I'm putting a sweatshirt or a jacket on top of the long sleeves, if it starts riding like the undershirt starts riding up in the sleeve area, it gives me the cringe factor. I mean it's a trick that everyone probably knows, but if you hold your hands, but even that sometimes it's just like, oh, it's just too much like on my wrist, especially with my watch. Ooh, I get really like fidgety if I've got too much like pressure on my wrist.
I don't wear watches.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes even just my ponytail holder pisses me off, and I have to take it off and set it on my desk.
Wow. Yeah, we must have some like restriction things. Do you are you claustrophobic at all?
I don't know. I feel like
I
I'm
don't.
only claustrophobic of my body. Like I don't
Yeah.
want my parts to be restricted. It's
Yeah, I
just
don't really have.
sometimes there's just certain sensations that just like make my skin crawl.
No, I feel you. The other one, I'll just say this real quick, is a little unrelated to sleeves, is when my leggings or jeans inseam. Have we talked about this before? It doesn't hit the bottom of my crotch area and it's like sagging down. I think we talked about this.
Remember, I gave a whole in-service on how I pull up my pants so that
Oh
that
yeah.
doesn't happen.
What episode was that? We gotta refer back to that.
I think it was 2 episodes. So I think that would be episode 8.
We'll link it and we'll put it up once we confirm. But yes, I'm sorry. That just made me think about it because that's like unrestricted air that feels weird versus everything else is feeling restricted. But that is the one part where I'd like some contact and you know.
But it's kind of restricting your range of motion if all the seams aren't
Yeah,
in the proper crevices.
that's what it is. Yep. Yep. And then at this point, with my weight gain, my thighs are rubbing together within the the air pouch.
Were they not rubbing together before? Because I'm not pregnant and my thighs haven't not rubbed since I was about 7.
That's true, but they're like pulling over to the other side with the gap, the air gap. Sorry for the nice visual there. But anyway, I feel you. I'm in total agreement about the sleeves.
All right, well, that's good to know.
Yep.
At least this wasn't like last week where it was just me by myself.
You thinking I was about to agree with you on everything, and then I was like,
I thought I
no.
was for sure gonna have at least like one, but it was just like, nah, nah, nah.
Yeah, like the sneeze thing, which we do have origins now for the God bless you.
Oh, yeah. Tell me, what are they?
Says Google, so let's take this with a grain of salt. But there's two things that I found that were really interesting. They're slightly different, but these are my favorite. Okay, it says Origin 1. People used to believe a sneeze caused someone to expel their soul out of their body. And so God bless you or bless you was used as a protection against the devil snatching your soul. That's intense.
I love that.
Yes. Origin 2 says during the Middle Ages in 14th century Europe, the bubonic plague was widespread, and so they thought that when they heard someone sneeze, it was an early sign of the plague, and so they're essentially praying to God for health and recovery.
Okay, that's reasonable.
I did find out, I don't have the exact reference, so don't fact check me, guys, or if you want to fact check me, go ahead, but I don't think I was incorrect when I said the heart stops for a second. I think you knew that, but I confirmed that that's not the case. I thought that was the case, and it's not apparently.
Maybe the heart stopping myth is like a offshoot of your soul leaving your body.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's funny.
But
Because
that's
Satan's gonna come. I thought they were gonna say your soul leaves your body, and they were afraid a demon was gonna come in and backfill it.
Oh, yeah. That would make sense too, but apparently it's just like floating around and the devil's gonna snatch it or something. Crazy.
By that token, then Catholic priests shouldn't want anyone to say God bless you because they should want everyone to get possessed so that they can do more exorcisms and make more money.
Oh my god, that's a horrible way to view it, but I guess.
Job security, man.
Corrupt ass people. I'm sure it happens.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for doing that tidbit of research because I felt like we put a lot of misinformation potentially out there last week. So I'm glad we could sort it back out. Not that anybody is coming here for like academic guidance. And if they are, they need some academic guidance.
We need a disclaimer. Do not listen to our advice. This is not medical advice nor factual things. This is our opinions and humble expressions. I don't know.
This is in no way professional. What's the word? Guidance? No. This is not my professional opinion. This is separate from my professional life. I'm not giving you advice as a therapist. Don't listen for that reason. All right. Okay, moving on. We took a half the episode on intro information, but that's fine.
I love it. It's so great.
Oh, so this week, good people, we are discussing how weird it is that we are living as just adults.
Like with husbands and a house and paying mortgage and pets, and it's weird when you just like stop and look around and you're like, holy shit, I'm living my own life with my own person, family, situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I sometimes, Jason, like, he'll say stuff about like our family, and then I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean,
It's
not
kind
that I don't know that, but there's just, I don't feel that much. I don't feel like an adult. I know this is like the crisis of our generation, and I've done some adult things, but I just still feel like I'm playing pretend at everything, and it's a little bit surreal.
mm-hmm. Surreal is a good word. I forget sometimes because I feel like I'm just surviving and like figuring it out, and then I kind of take a step back and realize, oh wow, like we've kind of built something together. Like this is, I'm not under my parents' roof anymore. I'm under our own roof. You know, doing what we want to
Mm-hmm.
do, and I don't know. We're making the decisions.
Right? I'm the adult in this household.
Yeah.
Bro, it's gonna be weird for you when you have kids.
I know. I'm gonna be a mother. I'm responsible for another human being. Kind of
So
crazy.
funny. I wonder, we should poll our parents. Like, does everyone feel imposter syndrome, or is this new to our generation? Did they feel like it was crazy, or is that just us?
It's a good question. I feel like in some circumstances, I'm sure it's normal, but I do feel like it's a little bit heightened in today's society or our generation, just with the difference in how we grew up and our challenges versus previous generations' challenges, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can see that. I think that it is interesting to, and I've heard older people say this, like 70s, 80s, where they'll look in the mirror and they don't feel like the reflection back at them is what they feel like on the inside. They feel
Mm,
the same as whatever they were through their younger adulthood.
that's crazy.
And it's jarring to see themselves as what we would, what they would have in the past considered an old person.
That makes
So
me feel like a little bit of anxiety because I feel like that's going to be me and it makes me nervous, I guess.
I know,
Not
so maybe
nervous.
that's just what we're having now. Because I just, especially when I talk to you or, like people that I've known for a long time, I just feel like the insides of me are the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get that.
So it's surprising that the surroundings are also different.
Yes. I mentally revert, I don't want to say like back to a child because that's dramatic and not a good way to live. But in my head, sometimes I can remember what it feels like to be that person, like with not a lot of responsibilities and kind of become like be in that mindset and then realize, oh no, we have bills and a mortgage and work and a house and dogs and a baby on the way, and it's not. It is a totally separate situation now. Yeah.
It is so jarring. And Jason and I always have the same ongoing, I think he started it, of just, again, these are like our drug-free stoner conversations because both of us are squares at this junction in our lives, but we'll have these conversations sometimes where I'm like, I feel like someone should be high for this. But anyway, he always says, um, he always says stuff like everyone's just living in a box. Like everyone is just milling around all day doing all this shit just to like earn their credits and pay for their box. And then we were sitting on the couch one day, joking, like, all right, check the box on getting my credits for the day so I can come home to this box that we live in with these two wild animals that aren't really that wild. But it's so weird when you just like stand there and look around and it's like, this is just a fancy box. Everyone's just in different sized boxes. And in our case, we have these two creatures that just inhabit our box with us. I don't know, it's just such a goofy thing when you look at it that way.
You said it perfectly. Kenny and I have had multiple discussions on, sometimes we'll be just looking at our dogs and he'll say there are literal animals, like you said, creatures that we can't communicate with very well, but we trust each other to live with each other under one roof, and they're just here. These creatures are just in our space with us. It's weird when you say it like that.
I know, and I'm just paving the way for their cushy ass life. And it's gotten to the point where, like almost every day, he and I'll get ready for work, and then we'll look because for Clyde, who's our lab mix, who has some pit bull, he is exhausted just by opening his eyes in the morning. I mean, his life's hard. So, I mean, he gets up, he goes outside, he pretends to pee so that he can come inside and eat his dots, which is Jason's word for their dog food. And he loves his dots. And just the act of like the excitement of eating them immediately requires him to go take a nap.
Oh my gosh.
As we're getting up to go to work at 5:30 in the morning. And he's just passed out on sidebar. We have a giant, not beanbag, it's made of foam. I think it's called a Big Joe. And it's made for people and it's huge and you could sleep on it almost like a bed. Like I can lay out completely and like stretch my arms out on this thing. And someone was trying to get rid of it and I was like, we don't need this shit. Like, we don't need any more crap in our house. And Jason like jabs me with his elbow non-abusively, calm down everyone, and pulls me to the side and is like, Kailey, we need that. And I was like, why? Because he hates clutter. And he's like, for the dogs. Not wanting anyone to hear what we were actually going to use it for. He was like, not for us. It's a perfect dog bed. Bruh, he was right. The dogs love it. And it is a giant, those things are worth like $300. This giant bougie ass dog bed, which is not good enough for them because they still will sleep on the couch and like try to get in bed with us, but that's beside the point. But after Clyde's really tough morning of being like presented food off of the ground because we didn't want him to bend over too far, he might get indigestion. He eats his food and then he just goes and sprawls out on this giant dog bed that we have for him. And then he has the audacity to sigh as if he is carrying the nuclear codes around with him and has the pressure of pushing the button.
The dog sighs are so dramatic, but I secretly love them so much.
Between his dog sighs and then he does this squeaky pit bull yawn.
Oh yes, yes. Our Roddy does that. That's funny. I know. I get jealous of our dogs a lot because we'll also be not up that early, but we'll be on our way to work, and they're just laying there sleeping, and I'm very envious. And they're so mad, and they do the little Bentley or Roddy does the yawn that squeals. And he's like such a big personality. He'll just lay there with his head on his paws and look at us like, you're really gonna leave me? You're not gonna play with me? I'm like, you've got it easy, bro. All you gotta do is sit there and hang out and sleep and run around and do whatever you want all day. Like, we'll come back and we'll play with you. Like, don't give me attitude. But I love it so much.
I know. I have vivid memories of being a child and going to school and looking at my family pets growing up and being like,
Mm-hmm.
how dare you get to stay home? Like, just just feeling just such an immense longing to trade places with them. It's like, you
Yes.
go walk to the bus stop in the snow.
1000%. I feel the same. I have felt the same back in the day, and I still feel the same. Especially when I know I'm going to have a stressful day. I'm like, can't we just switch places?
I know, I'm like, you bitches have it so easy.
Yeah.
Except for Jack. So where Clyde just lives to be pampered, and also we're only allowed to pet him when he feels like it because he's a cat. He physically like stiffens when we go to give him a hug a lot because he doesn't want to be touched, except for when he comes in your face and wants you to touch him. Um, we both make him deal with us hugging him, and Jason all the time, he's like, "Come here, you fucker!" Like, I put a roof over your head and I put food in your bowl. I'm gonna hug you for a minute when I come home. And we just make
Yep.
him like stand there and take it, and you can just see it in his eyes. He's just like, God damn it. So he's a whole freeloader, and we had him first. I'll just explain his origin story and then you can tell yours. But we got him first. It's really funny. I'll have to post a picture of it. Jason, for Christmas one year when we were still dating and we lived together, got me this little stuffed dog and wrapped it up, and I opened it and I was like, it's little. It's like fits in the palm of your hand. And I opened it and I was like, that's cute. Like, again, he doesn't like clutter. He doesn't like random stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, why did this guy make me wait till the very end to open what I assume is a stuffed animal from Walgreens?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, surprise, you can get a dog. And I was so excited. But
Aw.
what's really weird is this dog had like a white stripe down the front of its nose. And for anyone that's seen Clyde before, he has a stripe down the front of his nose. And I didn't even plan it that way. We didn't like put it together until after we got him. But it's funny, the little stuffed thing he got me ended up looking just like the dog we picked out.
Wow. I love that.
But Clyde came from a rescue, I believe. Oh shoot, I can't remember the name of the rescue that he came from, but his mom, pardon me for anyone that's not a dog person, but anyone with rescue dogs is going to tell you their entire story, so just suck it up and deal with it or fast forward. His mom was pregnant and in the shelter. So like she whatever ended up in this dog shelter while she was pregnant with the litter. So
Mm-hmm.
Clyde was born in the shelter right around the time that Hurricane Michael hit Panama City. He's from this like redneck town just north of there, and he's been horrified of storms ever since because the guy, like, his first couple weeks in the world were with like one of the worst hurricanes that's hit this area in a while. Which is not funny, but it's interesting that that's how he came about.
Mm-hmm.
And true to his redneck roots, he's missing a tooth. Like, he just doesn't have a tooth. Anyway, he was in this litter and they were all born, and they had them initially in like a foster of a bunch of puppies. Well, one of his siblings was born blind, and that big fucking bully, they had to pull him away from the other litter and go put him in a different foster because he was beating up the blind dog.
Clyde was?
Clyde. He was trying to play way too rough and bullying his blind sister.
Damn, Clyde.
Dude, he's been a dick from the day he came out, and he is never changed. It is the epitome of his personality. He's just like big and oafy. He kind of is like happy-go-lucky, like a lab. We did his DNA test because we're also those people. And he's got a shit ton of just all this weird stuff in there. I should go back and try to find the DNA results and post them somewhere. But he kind of has the pit bull mentality of just like running into stuff. Like, he's big and bulky and doesn't know what to do with himself. Anyway, yeah, so he beat up a blind dog. Oh my God, when we went to pick him up, so they put him with this other rescue, and this lady had a bunch of adult dogs, but one of them was like a Shih Tzu mix in a wheelchair, like a doggy wheelchair. And so it's a little dog, like maybe 15 pounds, 20 pounds max. And he has his little wheels, and his name was Dan, as in
Oh,
Lieutenant Dan.
that's adorable.
Amazing. And when we went to pick up Clyde, it was after we were coming home from a trip. We went right out there and we went to pick him up. And she let all the dogs out of the backyard. And Clyde made like a running beeline towards us and then got distracted and made another running beeline and just totally slammed into the side of Dan. Lieutenant Dan goes like ass over face, spiraling down the lawn because Clyde like wheels rolling over wheels. Dick, he's such, that was at 12 weeks
Oh
old.
my gosh.
He is no different. So when we got our second dog, we got our dog a dog. We knew we had to get one that played rough, and Jack also got pulled out of the litter for playing too rough. And it's great, but when we take them places and they can just free run, I mean, they full body slam into each other, like knock the wind out of each other.
They're crazy.
They're insane. He is such an asshole. Anyway,
I didn't realize how much of an asshole he was.
Yeah, he's such a bitch. I love him with my whole heart.
Of course.
He is a dick.
Oh my gosh.
He's the same puppy we brought home. It's weird. It's weird their way their personalities are, and nothing changes. Their body just expands.
What about Jack? What's his story? Because you got him second, right?
Yeah. So they're 6 months apart, but we got Jack when he was 6 months. So the socializing window had closed. And backstory, Jason and I have both been bit by German Shepherds.
Mm.
So when I was looking through rescue websites, I avoided every pointy-eared dog because I figured it was either a shepherd, which has too much energy for me, and again, I was bit by one, or a husky, which has way too much hair and energy for my lifestyle and for Florida. So we find Jack, who looks like this like bloodhound, saggy ass hound dog, like big wrinkle face, big black nose, huge saggy ears. And we're like, oh, that'll be perfect. He played rough, but he allegedly was around other dogs. Feels like a lie. We did his DNA test, and it turns out he's half German Shepherd.
A full half?
A full half. A full parent was a German Shepherd, and then half hound mix. Oops. So he has the anxiety of a shepherd and the lungs of a hound, and it is a piercing combination.
I bet. I've heard him. It is very piercing.
He's wild. I mean, he will make your ears ring and your eardrums vibrate. He's so damn loud. But whereas Clyde just is basically a freeloader, like he's the equivalent of like a trustafarian that just lives in their van off their parents' money. Jack thinks he has a job. In Jack's mind, he is doing God's work. He is the only reason we're alive. He's saving us from every intruder. He has 2 hunting seasons. He's either hunting rats or he's hunting lizards.
Oh my God.
So he has patrols when he's outside, and he runs a patrol of the perimeter. He has a set route. And I just posted a video a couple weeks ago of him sitting in the backyard because we've never seen that dog sit outside. He is always running his routes and looking for lizards and rats. And he's caught some rats. It's horrifying.
How big are
they? Some of them are mice, like little, like micey things, but then some are like big rats. And one time, like came around and bit his leg. And like he kind of got nicked in the mouth. Dude was like drooling and bleeding and just happy as could be because he'd killed it. And he's not trying to bring them in the house. As soon as they stop moving, he's like, job done, on to the next one.
Okay, that's good. Thank God.
It's so weird. It's so weird. And then the lizards, I gotta get a video of it. He stuffs his whole face inside this plant, like all the way up to his neck, looking for lizards. And there again, like doesn't want to do anything with them other than like boop them with his nose so that they're smushed and stop moving. And then he's immediately on to the next thing.
Oh my gosh, he is a killer.
Yeah, well, what's craziest of all is that somehow the cat who antagonizes him is still alive when he could have murdered her years ago. And our chickens. He doesn't try to eat the chickens. He just herds them about.
I can see that. I love it that he's like protector over the house.
He is on a mission, boy, and he can smell. He can smell sometimes. Like our house is not on a cement slab because it's old, so he can smell. I think through the floor.
Oh,
So he'll be just frozen, just like staring at the floor sometimes, and then just piles of drool.
oh my gosh, that's kind of crazy.
He's he's special. I don't. Some Jason and I will laugh too because with the chickens, we're like, that's a chicken. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing in the kitchen that you try to eat when we're not looking. If we
Mm-hmm.
just set a whole chicken on the ground, they'd eat the entire thing raw.
Wow,
I'm like, bro, that's literally just like pluck off a few feathers. It's walking around right outside.
that's interesting. I guess they don't. That's it's different in their minds.
It's so weird. But yeah, so we've got a cat that's a bitch that hides around the corner of every door and pops out to scratch the dogs who weigh 6 times as much as her. She leaves her little claw shavings in Jack's eyebrows sometimes because his whole goal in life is to sniff her butt, and
Oh
she
my.
doesn't want him to. And then they get into like contests of Jack going like trying to sniff her and her trying to literally claw his eyes out. And then the dumbass chickens that I don't even. I'm not going to get into it with the chickens. The moral of the story is that owning chickens makes me feel great about eating chicken.
That's a good way to put it.
They're idiots. If I think about it too long, I could really have a hard time eating pork and beef. But chicken, those bitches will peck a freckle on my leg because they think it's a bug.
Oh my
They're
god.
dumb as fuck.
I have to chime in and say your cat also had the balls to scratch me when I was over, and I feel like I am okay. I feel like I would like cats more if I wasn't allergic to cats, but I'm allergic to cats, and even her little scratch. I know I feel like you and Jason probably thought I was being dramatic, but that thing bubbled the fuck up from just a
Mm-mm.
freaking scratch.
No, I knew
And
you weren't being dramatic. And I told Jason about how it turned into a scar. And he was like,
it did.
damn, she's
Yeah.
got like serious allergies slash sensitivities.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she hissed at me and went. I was kind of like I wasn't pestering her, but I was kind of testing the waters too much. I was kind of just I was getting too close for whatever. And yeah, she went at me, and so I've got a scar to prove it on my hand. But yeah, that
Do
was
you know what the
my.
worst thing is? Is that she is so spiteful that when I warn people not to touch her, she'll like purr and like rub up on their leg.
I know she
Jason
got.
calls her the spawn of Satan. I mean, he saved her from a ditch. I'm happy that she's alive. She's living a cush ass life, basically ruling our upstairs. Jack will only allow her in certain parts of the house. They have this weird agreement. She tries to block them from going outside. She terrorizes the whole house, and she's probably going to outlive all of us because that's just what happens to things that are hateful.
I could see her living for a long time. How old is she now?
Not old enough. I think she's like 15.
Oh wow, that's still pretty old.
10 years from now, I'll be talking about 25-year-old Kailey still patrolling the house. I told her, I said, if you live longer than these dogs, you're going to have to deal with another round of puppies.
I love it.
So if our dogs live another like 10 to 15 years, she would be a really old cat. But yeah, she might just do it just to spite us all.
Oh my god, she may be the spawn of Satan.
She has green eyes. Apparently that means she's the spawn of Satan. That's what we say.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like your house is crazy and my house is also crazy with I don't have a cat though. We just have the two dogs.
I want you to tell us Stella's origin story if you want.
Oh my god. Yes, it will be so great to relive. Okay, no, it's actually really, really funny and ironic. Okay, so and you're a part of the story, which is funny. when I moved to Texas, I was living alone and I wanted a pet, and I've always wanted a dog. And I'm like, I'm gonna get a Shar Pei. I don't know why I landed on Shar Pei, but just that's what I landed on. And when you Google and try to find Shar Peis as puppies, they're the freaking cutest little roly polies. They're like, oh my god, so adorable. And so I was on the site looking at all these Shar Peis and found this perfect one. I mean, she was so freaking cute. So I messaged the person and I'm like, hey, we're going back and forth trying to figure out if I can buy this dog. And there's not a lot of pictures, and I think I asked for more pictures, and I'll just say there was a lot of red flags that I should have caught onto, but they were like, yeah, no, we can send more pictures in a little bit. I don't have a video right now, but we can get it to you later. And it's just like weird things that I was like, okay, well, I never have done this before, so we're just going to go with it. I really want this dog. So you came to visit me, I think for the first time, once I moved to Texas.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out, and at that point, I was at the place where I was like, I'm gonna go to Western Union again, a red flag, and put down like I think it was like $300
This is
to
funny.
yeah, so that they could then send her to me because she wasn't in the state, which is actually in fact the truth. But anyway, so we go together. You and me, Kailey, went to Western Union. I wired the money, and I swear as soon as we left, I was like, ugh, I feel like this was not, like, I just had an immediate feeling of like, shit, I think I just got played. So I remember Googling, like, what is a fraud like this? Like, what does it look like? How do you stop a Western Union transfer? And of course, by the time I called back or we went back or whatever it was, they had already received it and I couldn't, like, put a stop on it. So I'm out $300. I realize that it's a fraud. I text the guy, I'm like, hey, just confirming, and of course he never responds. So I'm out $300. Super sad. I was very disappointed. I'm sure I cried. You may remember better than I do, but you were there.
I don't think you cried. It's funny, in
Okay.
my memory of this story, it was way more money than that.
Really?
No, I think I'm not doubting your like recounting
What did you think
your
it was? Because I
recounting
could
of the
be
story.
wrong.
I don't know. I think it's just that in my head, I had such a just like pit in my stomach about the whole
Uh-huh.
thing that
Uh-huh.
I just assumed it was thousands, which is
Oh,
ridiculous. Of course it wasn't, but
yeah.
that's like how it felt.
It was either 300 or 500, and I want to say 300, but it was one of those numbers. And either way, I was completely out of that money. So I think after you had left to go back home, I was like now determined to find a real dog and get the freaking dog. And I still really was like attached to this one dog that I saw in the pictures, which I thought I was buying but didn't get. And so, long story short, I ended up finding the real dog of this same picture, and I will most definitely post her little baby puppy picture because it's the cutest thing. So I found the real dog that I thought I was originally buying, and then ended up buying. Um, and she was from Miami, so she was definitely like truly out of state. Um, and I like FaceTimed the lady, sent me extra photos. I was like, please give it all to me. Like I hopped on the phone with her. So I felt way better. And so I was like, okay, let's do this again. So they literally flew her out from Miami in a little kennel crate thing under a plane. I felt so bad. And then I went to the airport, but you don't go to the airport, you go to this cargo thing. It was really sketchy. I was like, am I in the right place? I'm here to pick up a dog. And I swear to God, I had a little PTSD from the scam before. They brought this kennel out, set it down. She was way smaller than I was expecting, so I didn't see a dog in the kennel. And I'm like, did they just literally send like an empty kennel? And then I hunched over and I looked down, and she was in the back. She was like, yeah, like she was so stressed. But she was
Poor
the
Stella.
cutest thing. I know. She's so like that. I mean, that is her now. She is the epitome of an anxious dog. But I named her Stella. Her original name was Yaya. Yaya. Yeah. So switched her name real fast to Stella, and she has been with us since 2015. Yep. So she's 8. Yeah.
I love
Um.
Stella.
So yeah, she's the cat of the family. She doesn't like to be outside. She's allergic to grass. She is a little baby. She's kind of a little bitch sometimes. Because she's just such a big, pathetic, pitiful little girl. But I obviously love her. She's like my first true dog of my own. So yeah, that's how we got her. So that was my dog. And then going into the relationship with Kenny, we moved in together and wanted another dog for our dog. So like you did, we bought a dog for our dog because we're like, she's so lonely. It should be nice to have a friend. And so we're like, let's get a Rottweiler. Which we didn't really think about that. They're both like very dominant breeds, but luckily she's a female and he's a male. So I guess it works. But we got this Rottweiler from Rockwall, which is in Texas. We like drove up there. I found him online and basically like couldn't resist. I put down a deposit and I was like I didn't tell Kenny yet, but we were obviously talking a very serious about getting a dog, but I found him, saw the picture, talked to the guy, and he was the last one of the litter, which now like looking back, like was there something wrong with him? But no, I'm kidding. But I put down a deposit without telling Kenny. And then Kenny came home and I was like, look at this cute dog I found. Oh my God, isn't he perfect? We should get him. And he is like, after like several minutes of talking, he was like, yeah, we really should, like, we should just bite the bullet and put down a deposit. And I said, good, because I already did. So that was that story. And we went up there and he was the cutest puppy, but he is like, I guess he would be like Clyde, right? Because he's the biggest bully. He is such a bully to Stella. And so we got him to be friends and buddy with Stella. And like they are good friends. But he's such a big bully to her. And like sniffs her asshole and like won't let her alone. And also plows into her and like body checks her. And anytime we give her love and affection, he just literally body slams her out of the way and says, no, I want the love and affection. He's just a big mess, but he's honestly like the funnest, most fun dog because he has a huge personality. I've never had a dog with his personality. Like he has facial expressions, he talks back kind of, and he's the cutest freaking little thing. And he's not little at all. He's like 125 pounds. So the dynamic in our household between the two of them is just wild. And he's 4.5. So that's the age difference.
I think Bentley and Clyde are a day apart.
Yes, they are. Yep. December 5th. No, October 15th and 14th or 16th.
Something like that. I feel
Yeah.
I can't. I'm bad at
Yeah.
numbers. But I remember when we got Clyde, because there's always a roll of the dice when you get a rescue that you don't know how big they're going to be.
Oh,
and
yeah.
especially because we didn't know what the dad was. But he
Yeah.
looked labby. And I like the whole time I was looking for rescue dogs, I was kind of trying to find one that was maybe half Great Dane to just slide like a really big dog under the radar and pretend like I didn't know. But we got him, and then you got Bentley, and literally, I mean, they were growing pound for pound up until 6 months. But for those 6 months, man, I was constantly texting you like, how much does Bentley weigh? And then I would tell Jason, and he's like, this dog weighs as much as a Rottweiler. I'm going to lose my mind. And then 6 months happened and Clyde totally plateaued because that was basically the top of his range. And then Bentley took off and doubled him in size or weight. But,
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love both of your dogs. I feel like they're both your personality. You're both of them.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Like I am a little, what's the word? I was going to say something. Like anxiety ridden little pitiful girl, and then also I'm like a stubborn bullheaded like get the fuck out of my way, I'm gonna plow over you type of thing. I know it's weird that it's both of me and them.
It is because you're Stella when you're like sitting on the couch and you notice somebody about to move and you're like, oh my God, can you go get me that over there?
I know.
I don't want, please, will you go bring me, please, will you bring me my water? I don't want to get up. As I'm like about to sit down and you don't think of it until I'm about to sit down.
His exact words. He's like, literally before I sit down, what do you want?
It's definitely such a thing. So you have Stella moments and then you have Bentley moments where you chase an Uber driver like down the driveway because he's running over your grass and about to hit the sprinkler.
If anyone hasn't watched that video yet from last week, please go to our social media, non-sexual soulmates, because Kenny showed one of his friends and he's like, damn, is that your wife? She's really booking it up the driveway. I'm like, yeah, and I'm pregnant in that video. I am pissed. Like, oh my God.
And you're also like goofy and like, because Bentley's real goofy and oafy and like plopping around and just wants to have a good time, and that's also you. You're both.
So funny. They do say you get dogs like, well, I think they say you get dogs that look like you, but I think my dogs I act like our dogs, and they act like me in different ways.
I have Clyde's metabolism, and Jack has Jason's.
That's interesting.
I feed Jack twice as much as Clyde. It's his nervous energy and his patrolling and his mind activity that keeps him thin, because Clyde just eats 2 dots and he's fat. It's the lab.
That's interesting.
But that's definitely our dynamic in our household.
I love it.
I feel like there's so many more stories about them, but now that we've introduced them as we have like random stories where they come up, I feel like we can just kind of bring them up since we've set the scene of who they are.
Oh yeah, and we'll have lots of videos to share for all you dog people out there.
I know there's so many, and I'm gonna keep dropping in little like nuggets of Stu Magoo with a tattoo on social media. I keep sending her. I have so many old videos because she always does goofy stuff. And I have so many videos of her just doing weird shit on my phone, just that we have like laughed at in my family over time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day, I sent her a blast of like 6 of them, and I'm like, I'm sending these to you to preview for your permission. And she messaged me back, and she was like, "Oh my God!" Like, because she forgets that she does this stuff, and we've talked about it before. I know I get my like performative qualities from her when I get in front of a group or when people start laughing at me. But it's been really entertaining to go back and find them. And I'm kind of excited that I have some other people to share them with, because I don't think it's just me. Like, I think she's hilarious.
Oh yeah. She is funny. The video you posted of her just in the car on the way to the tattoo was great. Like, she's hilarious.
Oh yeah, dude. She loves to just like slather it on and ham it up.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Oh man. Let me see. I think for everyone listening, this has been a little bit of a longer chat, but we thank you for hanging in with us. As a little peep into next week, we are going to be discussing bidets. Kayla has a really great theory to share with everybody that I can't wait to listen to again. Yeah. So I think last week was a little bit of like a bodily function episode. Hang in there. It's not going to get any better. We also this week have some listener feedback. Way back in the beginning of the podcast, I made fun of Jordan, my dear friend Jordan. And then I made fun of him again as a recap. I sent him the link to the podcast when it first dropped and was like, hey, will you listen to this? And he listened, just being kind, but like a ding dong didn't realize that it was me. Like, it was our podcast. Yeah. So I made fun of him on the podcast for this whole encounter, and he left us a voicemail. I mean, I baited him into it because in the show I was like, watch, Jordan's going to leave us a voicemail. I'm like, yeah. So anyway, he sent us a voicemail. I saved it. You have it now to play.
Yes. Are you ready? We can play it right now for everyone to listen.
Yes, so we're going to play
it. My first time listening to it, so I'm very excited to hear what he's got to say.
You dick. First of all, I was driving and I looked at your text and I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'll listen to it. It means I'm listening to work anyway, right? And then I realized it was you. In my defense, I'm on baby time, and I had no coffee, and you're a dick. Anyways, keep up the great work. I'm still tuning in. Haven't completely blocked y'all out. So, great job. Talk to you soon. Bye.
If it's hard to understand, he's saying baby time. He was on because he and his wife have recently had a kid. So just if anyone hears baby, like doesn't understand what that means, he has a new, well, not no longer a newborn, but he has a baby under one at home.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
You dick.
You dick. It is exactly our relationship. It's everything I thought it was going to be.
I love that. I just don't understand why he thought. I don't mean to. Don't loop me into this, Jordan. I'm sorry. I don't even know you very well, but it's just funny how he thought that you were just sending him a random podcast of like what strangers that you're like, hey, just listen to this podcast for me. Like you wouldn't have put it together, but that's funny. I love the feedback.
I know. So thank you, Jordan, for leaving us a voicemail. Our first voicemail that wasn't a spam call. So you get a medal for that. What's funny is that I do always make, like when we would go out in the field together, we used to do pop culture lessons for Jordan because we would joke that he never knew what anything was. So it is pretty on brand for me to send him something and tell him he has to listen to it. Because when we'd be in the car together, I would just force him to listen to things like various rap songs, or like I made him listen to the Whisper song one time because I made a reference to it and he didn't know what it was and it pissed me off. I'm slowly but surely building in just a Jordan segment where I make fun of Jordan. But me and my one other coworker, Tyler, used to constantly like make him listen to pop culture references, or like, we just would joke that we had like a Jordan education session every time we were out in the field together. So it is something I would do to be like, hey, you have to listen to this. But I can't believe it took him that long for it to click. Like, I don't know. It still cracks me up. God bless you, buddy.
That is great. I love it.
And then just in general, I keep getting feedback on fun times on TikTok. There was one, oh man, there has been a little bit of chatter about me hating musicals. One person told me, she was like, I don't understand why people get annoyed that musicals are fakey. It's supposed to be like, that's the point, I guess, be like surrealism in painting. It's supposed to not look real. Yeah. Which I'd never thought of. So I was like, that's a solid point. Still not going to go to a musical, but I understand. And then I told her, I'm like, listen, I understand I'm the problem, but I can't get there. One guy said that his mom, sorry, my leg's asleep. He was saying how his mom was always really into theater and he loved it, but he said, fuck the headphone microphones.
Oh yeah.
So I was on to something there, or at least it's not just me on that one. And there was another person that said that, because I had mentioned that I think it's not realistic that people just break out into song. And she said that her and her family randomly break out into song.
No, they don't.
And I was like, honestly, if that's true, I love that. I love you spontaneously breaking out into song. I still don't love people choreographing a spontaneity for a musical.
But also, I think, and I'm sorry to hound on this again, if it was real life, like maybe within your family, yeah, if you're that type of family, but you would never do that in public and then just have all these backup dancers that are strangers know what to do and come and join your public like declaration via song and dance. Like, that's where it gets me. It's the random public strangers that add in on like musicals or like plays. It's like, no. Mm-hmm. No.
I know. And
I still love them. We've already established.
One person brought up something that I had not thought about, and they were like, do you also hate Disney movies?
Oh, do you?
No, I love Disney movies. Okay. But you know what I think it is for me? It's a cartoon. Yes. It's a cartoon.
Well, it's already fake.
Exactly.
Yeah. A fox is singing to a mouse. Like, yeah, okay. I bought in already.
Right? We're on a flying carpet ride. There's a genie in a bottle.
Yeah.
South Park does a musical. I'm here for that too. But
That's funny.
yeah, so that was funny. There have been some funny responses on some of those. They're still posting under our gratitude, like what are you thankful for question, which again, I don't understand TikTok's algorithm. I have started playing a game where I just genuinely respond to the posts that are clearly just there for views, such as the weird physician that's showing you how to fix male erectile dysfunction. So I just go in and like earnestly respond, and I'm like, thank you so much for sharing.
Oh my God.
This is such a great thing to be thankful for. It's been a really wholesome form of entertainment. So people have posted some really fun things. Not fun, but just like genuine. So that's honestly even been cool just to see some different people like come on and talk about random. I need to figure out how to like reshare things. There's these two guys that were like the two tenors or something. I'm probably getting their username wrong, but they did a cute little like, you know, what they were grateful for, and one of them said he was thankful for good neighbors, and I was like, that is so true, because bad neighbors will ruin your life
for sure. Horror stories.
Yeah, I mean, it can get so ugly.
Yeah.
There was one guy, it was like, I think his username was like King and an I Croc. I don't know what that means. I feel like I'm saying something I shouldn't be saying, or I'm pronouncing it wrong. Ikrik. I have no idea. No idea, but he had like a nice inspirational message about, you know, just being thankful for like working hard and picking his career. And I really liked what he said, because he was talking about, you know, some days are shitty, but he's thankful that he knows like he's in control of his path, and he's the one that, you know, picked that route. And so even when it's hard, he's still thankful because he's able to, you know, afford his life and all of that stuff. So there have been these really cool mixtures of like funny and then sweet and a little bit inspiring. Definitely some like creepy responses that I'm not really sure about. And then all of these random ones that are just people trying to sell stuff or doing a duet with like an apple peeler and then talking about their kids. TikTok's weird, dude, and my algorithm is insane. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know that I want to change it. There's also a lot of 8 and like 9-year-old looking kids on there. I don't respond to them because it freaks me out that they're even in a platform that I'm in. But anyhow, so thank you everyone for the feedback. It warms my whole heart and soul. I have so much fun telling Kayla about it. Feel free to keep going, even if it's correcting me on my questions, because I'm not asking them because I think I'm right. I'm asking them because I want feedback.
I agree. Yeah, we are not anyone to judge or make any lost the word. Yeah. We just want to know. We're just curious human beings.
I know. And even if I'm being judgy, I'm willing to change my judgments.
Yes.
It's sometimes fun to indulge in a little bit of judgy behavior.
You can change your mind at any time. I feel like people forget that you have to like stick with one thing forever and ever, and you can't learn more and then pivot your opinion slightly or a lot.
It is so true. What is that? This whole idea of like, this is my opinion and I'm never allowed to change it.
That should be a conversation that we have, because I have lots of things to say.
I know, because you should be proud of being able to be flexible and change your mind. We don't need to start a whole other rabbit hole. The moral of the story is, to all of the turkeys out there, we love you. Thank you for tuning in on Tuesdays. Please continue to do so. We are grateful for you, as all, you know, like 12 of you. But thank you, seriously. It's a journey. We're on numero 10, and we're super thankful for it. So yeah, join us next week. We'll talk about bidets, a little bit more, you know, poop stories, and we'll just keep this thing rolling, just like Lieutenant Dan when Clyde ran into him.
Oh my God. That was the perfect ending. We need to end it right there.
All right, my friend. Until next week.
See you later. Love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye. How do I stop recording though?
There's a button at the top.
I never.